prepare the lab report. Right? That's very much important because at the end of the day, what are the approach you had taken? What are the steps you had taken? This is basically they are more interested to see as well. So reporting part is very much important when it comes to cracking and getting the certification there. So take equal weightage when you are working on anything. Make a regular habit of making notes because that will help you to prepare the report as well. In fact, this is basically very helpful for preparing for the examination because the more and more documentation you prepare at the time of examination, I hope you are aware about that you are open to search for on the internet, right? So if you have option, definitely you can go access the internet, look for the hints. The only thing you are not allowed to talk to any person when you're doing the examination, right? But yes, you can search anywhere on the internet. You can have your documentation with you at the time of the examination. So it's basically open book examination, but yes, definitely we have a time constraint, and because of that, we have to be very much focused. We have to be very much prepared when we are going for the examination. If you are not prepared, like if you don't have your notes with you, there is a complete possibility that you are looking to search over the internet, and it depends on your searching capability, how fast and how easily you can get your content. Based on that might be the solution file you are, or you are approaching your cracking methods, right? So that is the reason it's very much important that when you are doing any pen testing over the boxes, make sure that you are making a regular habit of making notes, specifically when we are running any commands, why you're using that command, what is the benefit, specifically you should be aware about, right? So this is one of the tips which you should know before approaching the examination, right? Now coming to the important part, and which is the lab itself, right? Now lab is very much important for you, and we are going to build our own lab, right? It means every time we are going to learn on some boxes, so we are actually going to build take one boxes which is having similar difficulty, and accordingly we will try to penetrate. Moreover, we are trying to utilize some script based approach rather than utilizing Metasploit every time. Metasploit is also available for you in the examination, but it's not going to be very useful because at the end of the day, you don't find any exploit there specifically which is required to crack the boxes. So if you don't find any exploit, it means you have to look for the exploit might be on the internet from the exploit DB, and from there only you are able to do the relevant cracking, right? So these are some of the important things which we should know. Now coming to the documentation which you may prefer and might be, later on I'm going to share with you all as well. So this is the official documentation which I am sharing with you. So this is the official documentation for the OSCP, penetration testing with a Kali Linux. Actually, it is the name, and the examination you will be encountering is Pen 200. So when you are going to do the registration for the examination, this is the examination you are going to work on, right? Now in this Pen 200 documentation, they had actually mentioned the approach which we have to actually take for doing the cracking, right? So if you see the overall table of content for this particular examination, like about the PW kit, course material. Now this documentation you will get as well when you are going to register for the examination. So let's suppose that you had purchased the examination voucher. So you will get the 3 month of lab access as well over the OSCP platform, right? And there you can actually check your skills, how good you are in that particular area. What are the the approach you have to take to crack the things. These are basically everything is going to be mentioned. In this course material, initially they will provide you all the relevant information like what is the course material, how exactly you are going to access the VPN lab network. Now, it's very much important that you should be aware about at the day of examination, right? You have a very limited time. And when you're having limited time, it means you should be aware about what are the approach you will be taking to connect and penetrate the machines. Let's suppose this is the first time you are actually connecting to the OSCP lab platform and you don't have any information how to connect to that platform, what are the strategy to utilize. At the end of the day, you will take lots of time only in connecting the lab. Believe me, it is not very much easier to connect to that lab, and specifically if you're new into that particular platform. So connect to the lab and then doing your exploitation, it's not going to be very easy. At least 1 to 2 hours you will waste if you don't have any information. But thanks to this initial 3 month of lab access which OSCP platform is going to offer you when you're going to purchase the examination voucher. So with this 3 month, at least you are aware about how to connect, to where to approach first when you are doing the testing, right? Again, definitely as a part of the preparation, you will be going to have access over the student forum as well, where you can actually ask questions and accordingly you can prepare. And again, definitely multiple information which you actually require to prepare for the examination. So let me go down just to show few information. Yeah. So if you see, these are the given information that overall strategy for approaching the course material which you will get. You will get a course video as well, but that is not going to helpful for you because that is very basic stuffs. I mean, how to do scanning, how to do simple enumeration. So these are the basic stuffs which will be given there. Definitely, if you are trying to start from the scratch, might be these videos are going to be very helpful for. But again, this is not systematically arranged, so I don't think is going to be very much fruitful, right? And definitely PWK lab you will be getting where you can actually practice your overall stuffs. Support option is also there where you can simply reach to the help offensivesecurity.com where you can look for any of the issues you're facing there, right? Now these are some of the steps which is required. Yeah. And this is finally the lab. This is how the lab will be available for you. So you will be having your own laptop or might be the desktop and you will be using the VPN connection. So you will be getting a VPN file from the OSCP platform. That VPN file you will download on your Kali Linux might be. One more important thing that when you're using Kali Linux, try to utilize the mix of Kali version. Don't rely only on the latest version of the Kali because in the lab environment, you will not get the latest version of the Kali. In the lab environment, they have the older version. I mean, you may see their 2017 or 2018 version available there. It means the latest exploits is not available in the database. If you're trying to utilize the Metasploit framework. Okay. I'm not sure that how many of you are aware about Metasploit framework, but don't worry if you're not aware about, I will be touching every part there. So don't feel any disconnect when we are going for the same. Okay. So this is the lab environment, and if you can see here from the VPN, we are first going to connect to the student network. And from the student network, we have to penetrate the different environment which is available to you. Right? So they will be actually giving you the guideline how exactly and which machines to be penetrate first. And as a proof of token, you have to actually provide the text which you had obtained from the machines which you had cracked. So when you put that code, then only, right, then only it will be available. Okay, then only you will go to the next level once you are done with the cracking. Some machine may also contain a network secret. That means based on the machine, you may have to. So this is basically kind of flag, right? You have a certain code, you have to find that particular code after cracking and getting the privilege access over the machine. Once you have the access, you will get the code submitted, and then you can proceed it for the next challenge there. Now this is the subnet. So subnet you will get there, then target to start, target in. Now it could vary based on the lab environment there, but mostly it is similar for everyone. Right. Again, you can start multiple times in a day, the moment when you purchase, so there is no any restriction. But again, the good thing is that there is a free version of the lab also available. Although not unlimited access you have, but definitely I'm very much sure that you all are working professional. You also don't have that much of time that you are going to practice the entire day or entire night there. So it might be 1 or 2 machine you will be cracking in a day. So for that, even the free platform is also available. Once you feel that you are confident enough to go for the examination, then you can purchase the exam voucher, practice a little bit more on the OSCP lab environment. Why? Because it will give you the overall information how to connect and how to manage the overall infrastructure. And definitely after that, you can go for the examination. So these are the initial information given in this particular documentation, and rest all after that, we have a simple, how to access the Linux platform, how to do the basic scanning and enumeration. So this is what about in the documentation you will get. Any question, guys? Anything which is confusing till now?
No, Rajiv. Yeah, I'm good.
No, Rajiv. Rajiv, I have a doubt. So, can we use Metasploit in all missions? No, right? In exam?
No, that is what exactly the restriction. Metasploit may not be ready for you for the exploitation. So don't rely on Metasploit so much. In our upcoming sessions, when we are going to done with the basics things, I will show you how to develop our own exploit, which is available onto the exploit DB. So it's not basically the exploit development, but it's all about the exploit compilation. You will get a code, right? And that code you have to compile in a format, binary format, which you can actually execute. Right, so that information we must have, that how to do that and how to manually trigger that exploit instead of relying on Metasploit framework. You can still rely on for few stuffs for the Metasploit framework in the lab examination, but don't rely too much because Metasploit is going to be too slow on that platform. Right. So if you are going to rely on that, then you may not be able to complete the examination on time. So this could be a issue, right? Make sure that you are not relying on the same. Anything more? Good. So I think there's one exam. So with
I
this,
have one doubt,
yes.
Rajiv. This exam we have to book it like 60 days ago, or like how is it?
90 days ago you can also book, because the lab access you will be getting it for the 90 days.
Okay.
Now, if you are ready, you can, let's suppose you have purchased the voucher, at least 90-day window period you have for the preparation, although it is not hard coded that you should wait for 90 days only. But after that, if you feel that you are prepared, anytime you can book the examination. 90 days they had given, so you are familiar with the lab and you can, do the things as per your requirement.
Okay, so we have to check the slots, right? Whenever the slot is available, we can book it. Or
Yes.
like not like it, because it's a proctored lab, I guess, right?
Yes, it is properly proctored down. Although proctor in the sense, no one is going to watch you first, right? I mean, a recording is going to be there, but the good thing is that it's an open book examination, so there is no any hesitation that you can't visit any website or something. Right? They can watch you, so at least you cannot talk to any other person during the examination.
Okay, all right. And let's say if we start today, so and if we are planning for like 3 months or 6 months down the line, like how much practice it needs? I'm just asking for like you have experience, that's why. Like 90 days or 120 days is enough for preparation?
See, it totally depends on your preparation speed, right? See, why I'm saying that, although even I can say you that yes, 30 days enough. Yeah, it could be 30 days enough if based on what you have done so far. Because might be I need to brush up for everything. But yes, there is a possibility that you require some more assistance on some new stuffs which is there in the market. Right. So what will happen that you need to prepare yourself, and the more and more boxes you will crack, because see, the number of boxes we have around us is almost unlimited, right? So what we have to check is what is the critical boxes which we have to prepare ourselves. I mean, on which boxes we can prepare and make sure that we can practice enough to crack the examination. Although, if you practice regularly and if you can give might be more than 5 or 6 hours a day, then 1 or 1.5 months could be enough for you. It depends on how much you are prepared for the basic from the to the advanced level. But if you are starting from scratch, then definitely it is going to take time. 3 to 4 months, I will recommend you to prepare at least and then go for that. Although it is just a preparation, all about the preparation. The more faster you can do the preparation, you are ready for the examination.
Okay.
Rajiv, I also have a question.
Yeah.
So in these boxes, what once we purchase the certification, these boxes, what they have. So each box will be focusing on one certain area, is it? Like for instance, one box is going to focus only on Active Directory, or one box is going to focus on some other issue. So is it like that, or how exactly is it going to be? Is it going to prepare you towards the exam as a whole, each box?
See, no any boxes is going to prepare for all the vulnerabilities, right? So that is the first thing we need to understand, that if you're, let's suppose as a pen tester, I'm actually hired for an organization, and that organization has told me that, hey, you need to penetrate this particular website and show me what are the vulnerabilities which we have, right? So definitely that is a particular platform. Similarly, those boxes is created with a certain vulnerability, right? Which could be a web-based vulnerability, it could be a LDAP-based vulnerability, it could be, as you told, that directory-based vulnerability or command injection or whatever. There are multiple different type of vulnerabilities in there. So they will concentrate on a certain vulnerability which you have to exploit, and for doing that, you may have to complete multiple tasks or multiple exercises, right? But yes, it is basically going to concentrate on a certain vulnerability, not all.
Okay. And how many boxes do they actually provide for the practice, the offensive security itself?
There's so many. I mean, all the boxes in the community available from there. I mean, whatever older boxes they are actually going to provide you in the community, in the OSCP lab preparation. But don't expect that any one of them is going to come. But yes, if you prepare all of them, one thing is that yes, you can pass the examination, because moreover, that is the similar kind of questions you will get into the examination as well.
So it is vital to practice the entire 90 days.
More and more, more and more. See, entire is not possible, because if you're going to wait for entire boxes to practice, then might be you require more time, right? So it is not possible. But yes, see, the moment when you are going to crack a particular machine, you will get in confidence. Then you will crack the other machine. Then you will crack the other machine. In this way, if you are able to crack the machines by your own, at least 10 to 20, you will get enough confidence. And this exam is all about that only. That definitely information is required, and with that information, you can crack the machine. The more and more machine you will crack, you are prepared more, properly for the examination. But again, as I told, that there are so many machines are there. It's not possible to crack every, and might be you all have a certain target that by the end of this day or month, you want to achieve the certification. So
Okay.
You have to look for. I will guide you what are the machines at least you should look for to crack, but at least some basic stuff we should be clear with before going there.
Sure, Raj. Thank you.
Just give me a minute. I don't know. Actually, I'm living in North India, and in North India, it is so cold. Sorry for that. Sometimes used to. Okay. So now coming to the lab part. Now, can you all tell me here that what is the machine you are using, guys?
You mean the current system, what we are using, Rajiv?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, I'm using
What
a
is the
Mac.
configuration of the machines you have?
So I don't think I will be able to set up a lab environment in my machine because I have only 4 gigs of RAM. So I'm using a Mac.
Okay. So even with Mac, at least you can run 2 machines with 4 gig, because Mac is stronger as compared to at least the Microsoft platform. Okay. So any chance you want to upgrade, or you want to practice online only?
I have a strong feeling it might get a little slow, the system, but I'll give it a try. Since you've said that, I'll give it a try definitely, but there is a high possibility it might get slow.
Yeah, the problem with Mac is that you can't upgrade the RAM as well.
Yeah, but you can do it, but it'll probably not be an Apple product per se. It might be a third-party RAM, what you might do it on your own. So, but it is compatible in certain Macs.
Okay. Okay. I'm not a Mac user, so I can't say for that. So you are
Yeah.
the better person to say.
No, I'm using an
Okay.
old Mac, so 2012 model. So you can upgrade it to 8 GB, but I haven't changed the Apple product yet. That's why.
Oh, 2012 model.
Yeah, I bought a mid 2012 model. So yeah,
I think
it's quite an
you
old
have to
system.
upgrade now.
Yeah, looks like.
Yeah. Okay, great. What about you, Srinath, Mr. Rajan, Rajesh?
Rajiv, actually, I'm having 32 gigs of RAM in my laptop. Also, like I have a server in my home, so it has around 256 gigs, so doesn't matter.
Wow. There's just opposite of Gautam. He's having at the highest.
Yeah.
There's any chance you are going to rent that server, Rajan?
Good idea.
Hopefully, I could.
No, the entire class can practice on your server. Huh? You can watch who is doing what.
Even if you share us 4 gigs per person, I think we'll still be able to.
Great.
Uh,
What about
Rajiv, in my laptop, it is having 8 GB RAM and like i5 generation processor and 6th generation. Is it enough? Like,
yeah, I think it is going to be okay. We can still run.
okay.
So it was
That
you,
mine is
Rajesh. Yeah, Mr. Srinath.
mine is 40 GB
Okay.
for i7 11th gen.
So yours is also fine. Great. Okay, so the reason I was asking for your configuration because we can't only rely on the online servers there, right? Yeah, still we can rely on there. Might be some website I can prepare where you can go and practice on the boxes. But sometime if you face internet issue, that is going to create a problem for you while you're doing the practice. So that is the reason I prefer the local platform. Okay, so even the 4 gig is also enough if you can run at least 2 VM. And I will prefer you all to go for the VMware workstation, although whatever your favorite platform, that is completely okay. If you can run Hyper-V, no, not Hyper-V, VirtualBox. So that is going to be more okay, because more and more platform you will get on the internet, which is having vulnerability, is basically very compatible with Hyper-V. Right. So if you don't have, I will recommend you to install that Hyper-V first. It will be very important. And even if you have a existing virtualization platform, you can still work with VirtualBox. So let me open my VirtualBox environment here, although I don't have right now anything vulnerable. So if you can see, this is the platform I have. Yeah, so this is the platform I'm actually using. I don't have so many machines here, only few, but as we going to progress, I'm going to add those machines as well. Once I'm done with the task, I simply remove that machine. So that activity you can do as well, but make sure that you're making a practice of making notes, like on which machines you had worked, what was the vulnerability there, how you find the vulnerability, what is the command. So that sequence of commands, you should note it down, proper information, Now here I'm using the Kali Linux 2022.2, which is one of the latest option. I think there is one more upgraded version available right now onto the Kali platform. So if you want, you can download the same. Otherwise, even if you have the older version, in fact, in the future, I will be utilizing some older version as well. So at least you know that what are the things you can't do on that examination platform. That is very much important for you. Initially, we can use this Kali Linux platform. So at least we are in a we are actually used to work on that particular platform and very easily, do the things, right? So let me start first this machine here. Now, there's some particular network setting might be you have to learn as well. Like, so when you're working onto the VirtualBox platform, and when you import, now the first thing is that I had not created this machine. I had not done the manual installation. I just downloaded from the Kali platform. So in fact, let me show you. How can you do that? If any one of you don't have, then you simply search download Kali Linux. This is what you can search over the Google. And here you will get this website, kali.org get-kali. This is the website. Now what I'm looking for is a virtual machine, right? I'm not looking for the bare metal operating system where I need to do the manual installation. You can do that, but it's not required. It's just a waste of time, right? So just click on the virtual machine and it will give you some of the virtual machines available. Now, previously you may had seen only two platforms. One is VMware and VirtualBox. If you had visited earlier on this particular platform. But now if you can see, there is one more platform available, that is QME. QME image is basically for some other virtualization platform. Like if you had worked on KVM or Linux based platform, or Linux based virtualization platform, QME is basically supported there. Otherwise, if you had worked previously on GNS application, now GNS is one of the application available for the network guys. So if you're preparing for CCNA, CCNP or CCIE, so that time that QME image is basically going to helpful, because you can import into the GNS, or you might have heard about the EVNG tool as well, which is again a good tool for the networking guys, where they can actually prepare themselves for the different networking based certifications, right? So the good thing is that they had also given this QME image, which might be later on show you how to import that into the GNS or EVNG to apply, because there you can create a very attractive simulation. In fact, let me show you. I have EVNG installed on my another platform, or in fact on my another machine actually. So I also carry one small server in my house. just to ensure that I can. Let me access it.
Rajiv, since you just mentioned about the bare metal version of the Linux, just a quick question there. So I was told that I mean, I haven't used it per se, but I was told that the bare metal version of Linux has more pre-installed applications. Is that for a fact?
No, not really.
Okay, I was told you have more tools installed, so nothing like of such, is it?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Bare metal is not going to like that. It's just the platform actually.
So what might be the difference there?
With the bare metal virtualization, you're saying?
Yes, yes.
See, when you talk about the bare metal virtualization, so there are two type of virtualization environment we have. First of all, one is the bare metal virtualization as you told, and the another one is the hosted hypervisor. Actually, it is all about the hypervisors. So when you use the bare metal hypervisor or the virtualization platform, that they are directly connected to the machines. I mean, onto the hardware. See, right now what is happening, this VMware platform, I'm actually running over my Windows 10 operating system. So this is my Windows 10 operating system on which I'm actually running this VMware. Right, so this is the hosted hypervisor. So all the communication is passing through Windows 10 and then only going to the hardware for their operations to work. But in case of bare metal, what will happen? It is directly running on top of the hardware. So it will
And
act
that is
like a
type 1,
operating.
right? Type 1.
Correct. It's a type 1 hypervisor. So bare metal is basically tightly coupled with your hardware. So all the instruction directly go to the hardware. So the execution is faster as compared to hosted hypervisor. And plus, normally in the type 1 hypervisor security, we are actually keeping it more. The reason is normally these bare metal hypervisors are utilized in a data centers environment where we used to run multiple machines and provide service to our customer there.
Okay.
So this is what the typical difference.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me just, sometime I need to reset my network adapter to launch my tool. So this is the EVNG tool actually on which you can again do the practice. So this is the another environment. So why exactly it is good? Because here you can actually prepare your own topology. Because when you go to the real world environment, you will see their Active Directory is there, web server is there, router is there, firewall is there. So when we are trying to prepare the similar kind of topology, so this EVNG tool is basically very good environment. But again, it is a resource intensive application. There's so much resources is actually required. So we can actually add like routers, right? So this is the switches and which version of the switch you can actually select here. I can add here a server if I have anything. No, I don't have right now. I should be having, yeah, this is the Palo Alto firewall, means you can add the firewall, you can add the operating system like Linux. Yeah, I think Linux I have. So you can actually prepare your own LAM environment properly with a proper network configuration, and then you can practice it out there. So this is another good tool if you want to practice a real simulated environment in your own lab there. Again, totally depends on you how exactly you want to practice. So here for now, what we require that because we are going to utilize the VirtualBox, so you can simply download this 64-bit version of VirtualBox. All you have to click on this download link button. It will download the OVA file, right? And all you have to just double click on that OVA file and will ask you if you have multiple platform, then it will ask you which platform you want to utilize. Simply select the VirtualBox and from there it will get imported, and once it is imported it will be available like this only, right? There's some network based setting you might have to do that because by default every machine comes with a single network adapter. So if I click on machine setting network, here I can see I have adapter 1, and by default adapter 1 is connected with NAT, which is going to provide you internet connectivity. So if I require any internet connectivity on this machine, this NAT adapter is required. Default username for this box is Kali. and password is also Kali. So make sure that using the same here, right? And yeah, so this is the one. Another thing, as I told, that we may require multiple adapter. Why? Because one adapter I'm actually utilizing for the internet connectivity. So if I see right now, ping gmail.com. So right now my internet is not working. I'm not sure why exactly it is. So I can quickly check what is the IP I have by running command IP space ADDR. So if you see, I have already two adapter because I had connected previously, but one of the adapter is not having IP. Another adapter is having IP. So ETH0 is one of my adapter and ETH1 is the another adapter. So if I go to the machine setting, network, adapter 1 and adapter 2 is also connected, right? Adapter 1 is providing me internet connectivity and adapter 2 is basically for the local connectivity. It means if I need to communicate with other machines in my environment, I require this adapter here. Right. Now, anytime if internet is not working, why? Because sometime what will happen here, that one of the adapter is taking IP, but another adapter automatically go down. So all you have to just click on this network icon. And if you see, we have wired one of them is disconnected. So if I click on this wired connection, it will disconnect this, and then automatically see ETH0 is connected. Right. And if it is connected, it means it will help me to reach on the internet. So if you see, if I ping www.gmail.com, it is giving me reply. There is no problem here. Right. But definitely now I lost the connectivity to my local adapter. Now this is basically one bug. So this might not come with you there. Right. Only a single restart might fix this issue sometime. But again, we also require internet connectivity because most of the time we are going to update the repository, get the latest tools from the GitHub or some script from the GitHub, or we are going to compile the exploit. So this internet connectivity is very, very much required, right? Now for the startup right now here, what I'll do, I'm going to start one simple machine here. I have here, it's a very simple machine, easy to crack, just to understand and gain the information how exactly this environment will going to work here. I have one machine here, Windows 7. This is the Windows operating system, and I have Metasploitable, which is a Linux-based operating system. There's so much vulnerability placed here, and definitely you can practice each of them. Then we have Ubuntu as well. Now Ubuntu is also having some vulnerability because this one I'm using is the older one, little older. It's a Ubuntu 18.04. Right now, I think the latest one is Ubuntu 22.04, which is the latest one. Now, what I'll do, let's start this Windows 7 here. It's a Windows based platform. I'm going to start even this one as well. It is getting started. Wow, my machine is not behaving good. So let me start it again. Again, I hope you all are aware about that Windows 7 support is over. But in your environment, in your examination, don't assume that you will not get the unsupported version. So it's just an examination. So you can get any machine there, any version of older version of Linux based kernel, you will also get there for the exploitation, right? Windows is also available there, but definitely it's not going to be very easy to crack. You have to think, you have to look for the vulnerability. Remember, vulnerability is not only there in the operating system, vulnerability could be there in your application as well. Right. So sometimes the application install is basically vulnerable. So even that one too, we have to check it out. It's not a cracked operating system here. Good. Great. Let me just adjust the resolution. Correct. Great. So now this is the operating system I have. And if I show here that what version I'm actually running, so it's Windows 7 Ultimate. and it's a 64-bit operating system. So Ultimate, you must be aware about Ultimate or enterprise version of Windows operating system is normally utilized for the organization, right? In our home, normally we used to prefer the home edition. Again, if someone is purchasing the license, all know that very rare Windows people is actually purchasing the license until unless it has been actually given there by the organization. Okay, great. So this is, so I had started two machine here, and first of all, I'm going to show you whether they are actually communicating or not, because definitely this is the first part we have to carefully look for. If they are not communicating, we are not able to attack as well. So in Windows, to check what is the IP, command is ipconfig. I'm pretty much sure that you're aware about, but just glimpse, if any one of you is having any doubt, just ask me here. See guys, one important thing, I might assume that we have basic information over these things, but if you have any difficulty understanding this concept, just ask me so I can understand that what are the things I need to cover up as well. Okay, so ipconfig is the command which we are using in Windows to check the IP, and similar kind of command in Linux is ifconfig. Remember, the Kali Linux is a Debian based operating system. So you must be aware about that, and Linux is having different flavors, right? One of the flavor is Debian. So Kali Linux is basically the Debian based operating system. So in Debian based operating system, we use ifconfig command to check the IP. So if you see, I have multiple interfaces. One of the interfaces is loopback. Now definitely loopback we can't use for the communication. So we have two interfaces, ETH0 and ETH1. Out of ETH1 is not having any IP. As I told you previously that right now in my case, there is a bug. Only one interface is getting up. So what I'll do quickly, I will click on this another adapter. And if I run this command again, okay, I think first adapter I have to click actually. So now if you see here, I got this IP 56.102. So this is my IP here. Just reduce the resolution a little bit so I can see both of the screen. Okay, so actually I'm using a little bit big screen here. I'm not sure if you are able to see all part of my screen properly. So to let me know if there is any difficulty. So IF config, and if you can see here the IP is 56.102 and here the IP is 56.102. Now this is not good because right now what will happen, they both conflict together, though both having the same IP. So I think one of the machine is having a manual IP configured, static IP, although it is not required. Again, to set the IP in Windows, you can run a command ncpa.cpl. It will take you there into the network connection wizard. From here, go to property, TCP IP version 4 property. See, this is manually configured. Although I can tell, hey, take the IP automatically. I don't require manual IP here, right? So now it will take IP from the DHCP service, which is running on the VirtualBox itself. So if I click on details, see the IP got here 56.101. And if you run again, IP config 56.101. So from here, now I can ping. And if you see here, giving me reply, it means now both machines are connected together. There's no problem here. Again, you can also test it from here. 56.102. Giving reply, that is not a problem. I'm getting TTL value 64 by default. On Linux operating system, TTL is 64. And for Windows, by default, the TTL is 128. Now, this is basically helping you to identify what operating system is running on the remote system. The more and more these minor things you know, you're very easily able to get into the result, because sometimes you are relying only on the scan, but sometime even these minor things will help you to identify quickly the kind of operating system, and based on that you can actually prepare for the attacks. Right, so until unless we have proper information about the target, it is very tough to do the attack, right? So the more and more information gathering you're doing, it will be helping you to do the attack very easily. Okay, great. So I hope this part is clear. How do we create a connection between two boxes, guys?
Yes, Raj.
Yes,
Okay,
Rajiv.
great. Now, another thing we have here is now we are trying to check what exactly. See, although today I'm not actually, and it is basically not good here because uh, we are trying to learn first something about the kind of tools which we have, how to utilize those tools, and how frequently those are going to be asking the examination. But this is the first session. I just wanted to give you a glimpse at how do we conduct attack in our local environment. Now, I hope you all are aware about that Windows 7 Ultimate is actually having one known vulnerability, and that is called that is basically related to SMB service. Now SMB, that is called server message block. So whenever you share any files in Windows, a service going to be utilized that is called SMB. Right. Now the good thing is that by default in the Windows, this service is running. The problem is if that particular service is not patched, okay, what will happen? Anyone can exploit this particular vulnerability. I'm not sure whether this operating system is vulnerable or not because I had not tried this attack on this Windows 7 so far. I mean, on this virtual box. Definitely, I have machines available in my environment which is vulnerable for the same vulnerability. So the first thing, we can check what operating system is running, and then we will try to do the scan. So over and all, if you're going to do the attack, there are multiple phases, multiple activities which you have to actually complete. Right. One of the phases, so first phase, normally I'm not going to move into the very basics of like, hey, these are the different phases which normally we have to complete specifically from the CEH perspective. No, I will not go into that particular area. I'm assuming that you have at least this information, but yes, as a pen tester, as a cybersecurity analyst, you are going to follow a certain approach, right? That approach will help you to gather more and more information, and accordingly you can do the overall testing, right? So when we are doing the testing, a particular certain activity we have to do. So the first activity is to understand that what are the IPs which is live in the network. Now this is important because unless we are aware about what is the live IP, how can we do the exploitation? So the first activity is to know what are the live IP available in my environment. Live IP means which is right now operational. There could be a possibility that in my environment I have non-operational IP, so either because it is down or it is not connected to the network, right? So first thing, we have to check the live IP because we are trying to do the exploitation online over the network. Multiple tools available for the same which can help you to gather information about the live IP, right? The next phase after gathering the live IP information, the next phase is to scan what are the service running on that particular live IP, right? This is again the simplest step we have. So first we will check what are the live IP. Then I may check what are the operating system or might be the port or the service is operational on that particular system, right? So we will do the scanning. After that, a further one more step you may take here, like some of the service is not authenticating the user properly. So in such case, you want to connect and gain more and more information about the same. So this, the next page is called as the enumeration. Although as a black hat hacker or as a pen tester, rarely you will get this particular step to do that. Okay. But the good thing is that if you're working as a white hat hacker, it means if you're working as ethical hacker or penetration tester for an organization, you will get the credentials to do in-depth scan. So when I say credentials, I'm talking about the user ID and the password. And if you're getting the credentials, definitely you can do the enumeration properly, you can get into the service, find the issues in that particular service and report it to the concerned department or the stakeholder. Right. So after the enumeration, the next step you will try to do is basically, so scanning when you're doing, you are not only trying to find the open ports. See, remember guys, when I say ports, I'm talking about the service, right? Like HTTP, FTP, Telnet. So these are the service, right? If these services are vulnerable, that exploitation is possible. But first you want to check what the service running. You want to move inside the machine, but for that you require a particular gate, you require a door, and that door should be operational onto that system. Right? So first we are going to check what are the ports running, or you can say the services running. If I have information over the service, the next thing I will check is that service is vulnerable. Right? Now that is the another thing you will check. And how do you know? So you have to check what is the version of that particular service. So when you do the scanning, you will also get information about the version of that particular service. And once you have the version of that service, so let's suppose I'm running a very older version of the service, like older version of operating system. So older version of the service likely to be vulnerable for some known attacks. And in such case, you will get the jackpot. Like that, in all the boxes we are going to crack in the future, we have a certain service running there and that service is having vulnerability. All you have to concentrate on finding the vulnerability, so your exploitation is going to be easier. The more time you will take to find the vulnerability, the more time you will take to do the exploitation. Once you have the vulnerability, moreover, you will get the exploit very easily if you know where to get and how to get, right? So first find the service, then the version of that particular service, and whether that service version is having any issue. It means we are trying to check the vulnerability, right? And once the vulnerability is there, definitely the next step you will do is basically doing the exploitation, right? So exploitation is all about doing the attack on that known vulnerability. Once this exploitation is done, are we going to stop here? So generally your attacker will not stop here. Your attacker goal is not just to check whether your service is vulnerable and I can exploit it or not. So they're not checking their knowledge. They are having a certain goal, and that goal is to steal information from your system or give damage to your organization. Okay, whatever their motto is, they will go one step ahead from here and they will try to penetrate and they will try to escalate the privilege. So after the exploitation, they will try to do the lateral movement. So lateral movement is basically the activity where they will try to jump from one system to another system, or from one network to another segment, from one segment to another segment in your organization, so they can get more and more information and they can give you more and more damage. But all this is possible if they can get the admin level privilege, because most of the time, whatever service we are running, I mean, at least I'm talking about from the latest trend which we are right now happening in the organization. Normally, even if they run the service, they don't provide high privilege to that. Okay, because they know that if someone is having access over that service, they can get high level privilege over my system as well. So they will provide lower level privilege to the service, and from there, attacker have to first escalate the privilege. It means after the exploitation, before lateral movement, they have to escalate the privilege. Now, this is the another important activity of your examination. Linux based escalation, Windows based escalation. What are the different escalation methods? That one you should know, because you have to grab the flag, and for grabbing the flag, you require admin privilege. You will not get the flag in the normal user window. So you have to escalate the privilege, and for escalating the privilege might be some code you have to run only, and might be you have to do some more activity. So it depends on the kind of escalation will work on that particular system. Okay, so we'll work on both Windows based escalation and Linux based escalation. This is another important topic of the examination. And then we'll see how do we do the lateral movement, so which we can jump from one machine to another machine and grab more and more information, and very importantly, covering the track. Now this is basically not going to be the part of your examination, but this is one of the objective of your attacker. They don't want security analyst to know about their activity, right? So they want to cover each of the activity what they had did and safely move out from that system. Now this is basically their approach. This is how exactly they will do the overall activity, right? So this is what exactly we will do over and all. Again, although it is just the 5 different topics I had mentioned, but each of the topic is having a lot many different activity to complete on, right? Great. So moving back to my boxes. So these are the 2 boxes I'm actually running on. On a very simple note, if I need to check like, hey, what are the live IPs right now? So what is my subnet? So quickly I can check my subnet, right? By checking ifconfig. So let's suppose I'm an attacker. I'm trying to check my subnet. So my subnet is 56102. There is a tool available that is called Net Discover. Net Discover will help you to see live IPs in your environment by doing a kind of ping sweep. So Net Discover --help. Now these are the switches available. Right now I'm interested in using a switch -R. Again, you don't need to know about all the options. Again, see, one important thing that we cannot know everything for the examination, right? So we have to only concentrate on things which is basically important for your examination, right? Definitely, the more and more you will work, you will encounter and you will work with these switches there. So it's going to be very easier for you also. For now, I'm going to use netdiscover-R, which is for range, and I'm trying to scan a particular subnet range, which is 56. So if I use a command netdiscover-R, and then I will use my subnet. Now remember, I'm using my subnet. I'm not specifying any certain IP address. I'm assuming that you are aware about the subnet and subnet mask and the network part, host part. So these things you're aware about. Any difficulty, just let me know. So net discover -R and then the subnet with /24 CIDR value. So if I hit enter, what it will do, it will scan all the IPs which is available, and it will help you to reflect the result here. Although it is showing you finished, but it's going to take some time and will show us the result. So we'll come back later on some, I have some visibility here. Okay.
Rajiv, so Gautam here.
Yeah,
Could you just give me a brief idea on that subnet part while this is happening?
Okay. See, when it comes to subnet and subnetting, what will happen here? Let's take an example. I hope you're aware about that. There are 2 versions available right now in the IP section, right? So when you use the internet protocol, there are 2 versions available. One is IP version 4 and another is IP version 6. Now IP version 6 is basically the latest version, right? Which now we are migrating towards. But still, most of the organization, in fact, mostly all organization you had seen, that is still they're using the IP version 4. Now in case of IP version 4 are of 32-bit value, right? Now when you are trying to use this address IP version 4, basically it is divided into 5 classes. Out of class A, class B, and class C we are using, right? The range of class A is 0 to 127. Now although 0 we are not counting, but 0 is also there. 128 to 191 is the class B, and class C is 192 to 223. So what exactly this? See, when we are using the IP address, let's take an example, this address 192.168.56.101, which we are using in our one of the PC. Now in this IP, this is the first block. Now the first block defines from which class your IP address belongs to. So if you see the range 0 to 127, is it that range? No, it's not class A. 128, 191, no, it's not class B. 192, 223, yes, it is. So it's a class C IP address. Now within class C, the first three block by default, remember by default, you can customize it. So within class C, by default, first three block. So this is the first block. Two blocks are separated with dot. This is the second block. And this is the third block. So blocks are separated using the, so using the dot, and first three block is in network part, right? Now, how can a particular IP address is we are able to distinguish whether it is in network or host? So it is the subnet mask which is actually going to define. So subnet mask define whether the IP address first block or second block or third block or fourth block is in network. So this 255 represent that your first block is in network. This 255 represent that second block is in network. This 255 represent third block network. This fourth block is saying 0. It means your fourth block is in host. Remember, for the communication, there is a rule. Your network part should be same and host part should not be same. So if my first machine IP is 56.101 for class C, then for another machine, the IP should be 56.102.103, whatever. All I'm saying that first three blocks should match and the last block, which is the host part, should not match. So network part should be same and host part should not be same. This is the role of the IP. Right. Now let's take one IP here. Now in this IP address, what are the network ID? 192.168.56, and this last block is in host. So if I need to write only the network part, I will write like this: 192.168.56.0. 0 means null, right? So if I had written 0 here, it means I'm only representing the network. So in my example, I told that we are going to provide a subnet value or CIDR value or a particular network. So we are only going to specify the network, and within this network, so because it's a class C address, and in class C, this last block is in host. Now remember, I told that IP address of 32-bit value, right? Each block is having 8-bit. Remember, your system understands these bits, binary value, not this decimal value, right? So each block is having 8-bit, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is 32-bit. Last block is having also 8-bit. So 2 to the power 8, if you calculate, why 2? 0 and 1, binary value. 2 to the power 8, if you calculate, you will get 256 value. Out of 2 addresses we are not using, because these are the reserved address. So the resultant address you will get 254, right? So what exactly? So when we are going to do the scan, it will scan all the IP which is present in that network from 1 to 254. Whichever IP is live, it will let you know that, hey, this IP is live in your network. And that is what exactly we are trying to get. We are trying to check which IP is in live in my network, so we can actually continue doing the task. Is it clear?
Yes, Rajiv, it's clear, very clear. Thank you.
Okay.
So over there in using NetDiscover, what you're doing is you're putting the IP with the subnet, which is /24 in this case.
Correct.
Okay.
So here I had specified the /24. Okay. So if you see 56.0/24, right? So what it will do, it will actually try to scan the entire subnet, and it will help you to understand that which IP is basically live in my network environment. Okay. Great. Again, for the live IP scanning, definitely we can use multiple tools. One of the quick tool is NetDiscover. It will help you to quickly discover the IP. We'll get to know what exactly we do. Another tool we have is called Nmap. Now, Nmap is very important for us to understand. Multiple switches is there, but for now, 2 switch at least you should know with Nmap. So Nmap is basically a stand for network mapper, right? Network mapper is a tool which will help you to scan the IP, scan the port, scan the operating system, and scan the version. So there are lots of activity. Even it will help you to scan the vulnerabilities as well. Suppose you don't have the vulnerability scanner like an Nessus, Nexpose, OpenVAS. If you don't have these vulnerability scanner, you can use Nmap also to quickly do the scanning. We'll see on that. For now, let's suppose I'm trying to check what are the services running on this IP 56101, right? So for that, what I'll do, I can do a sync scan, right? Now, I hope you're aware about that we had, in the networking, OSI reference model is being utilized. In OSI reference model, one of the layer is transport layer. And at transport layer, there is a protocol working that is called TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. When system is making communication using TCP, they will first send a synchronization packet, receiver reply with acknowledgement for the synchronization, and then it will send their own synchronization as well. And after that, there is a final acknowledgement. And after that, only the communication will start. This is called three-way handshake. Now, this three-way handshake, we can also utilize with Nmap to scan for the live IP, right? There are multiple ways through which you can do the scanning. One way is basically do a authenticated scan, and one is based on authenticated scan. So actually, sometime it is also kind of the hidden scan. We'll discuss on that. For now, we understand that here we can use a switch -s, small s, and then capital S, which is for the sync scan, right? So we are trying to do the synchronization scan. Remember, if you have the admin privilege, so if you see carefully here, I'm logged in with root user, right? Just trying to start one more terminal. And if you see here, I'm not logged in with root user. So if I run a command, who am I? Kali user. And if I run here, who am I? A root user. So if I'm a root user and I'm having root privilege, I'm having privilege to craft a packet which cannot be detected by the remote machine, right? Sometime to evade the firewall, to bypass the firewall, we use the technique. But the good thing is nowadays we have next generation firewall which can detect such activity very easily. For now, if I do a sync scan where I'm sending a synchronization packet to one of my system available in my network 56.101, it will help me to determine what are the ports which is open on the remote system. If you see here 21, 80, 135, 139, 445, specifically I'm interested in these ports 139 and 445 is basically related to SMB, server message block. Right, so we got some detail that, hey, yes, these services are running. Now, if you want to know more about these particular service, all you have to just add one switch Nmap. And if you want to do aggressive scan, remember, is very easily going to be detected by the security device, right? So we are not going to prefer this scan specifically in the testing where I don't have the privilege, because this is going to generate a very huge number of packets which can be detected by the firewall or any security solution placed. But for now here, if I trying to do an aggressive scan, so I can know what exactly the service running on those ports and what is the version of that service. This is a very great tool. Aggressive scan will help you to know about the same. It's going to take time, but will provide you a good detail about the remote system. And this is what exactly I'm looking for. Right. Once we have some detail, what we can do, we can use some vulnerability scanner which will help you to conduct the attack, right? Now it's going to take time, so we'll come back here. In the meantime, there is a tool available on the system that is called Metasploit framework. Now remember this, I was actually talking about this tool only. That Metasploit framework is one of the tool which is equipped with exploit and payload, right? Exploit is a code which will take the advantage of the vulnerability, and payload is a code which can do the execution after the attack. See, if you have a particular motto of doing the attack, so you will have a one weapon which can do the attack, and you have one weapon which you can utilize to do the damage to the remote system. So damage means, let's suppose you are trying to download a file, or you're trying to upload a malicious executable, or you're trying to upload a virus, whatever. For that, you require a tool. But before that, you have to penetrate inside the machine. And for that, there's a different code. So this is what exactly the Metasploit will do. So Metasploit framework, if you want to launch, you have to just run a command msf console. It's going to take time to launch. But in the meantime, if you see, I got some good details about the service which is running there. Okay, like 135, it is Microsoft Windows RPC, Windows NetBIOS, right? 445, Microsoft Directory Service, DS service, right? And it's likely to be Windows 7 operating system. That this is the guess which has been actually done by the scan there. SMB security mode, account uses guess, authenticated level is user. So you will get lot many detail about this particular system, right? Now this detailing is basically might be not enough for you, because this is not giving you any idea whether that service is vulnerable or not. Definitely, for that you have to do a vulnerability scanning. But at least you are aware about what is the version of that particular service running on that remote system. Even I have some HTTP service running also, which is open right now. Now, the SMB service I was actually talking about was having one known vulnerability that is called eternal blue, right? Now in the Metasploit framework, if you see that total of 2,251 exploits available. If I want to search one of the exploit that is called eternal blue, it will provide me that eternal blue. Now definitely there's some vulnerability which is very great, like this one, double pulsar. And there is some vulnerability which is okay. I mean, you can still utilize it there. It totally depends on your requirement, right? So let's suppose I want to utilize one of the same, like this one, exploit, double pulsar. Now, even that one too is okay. We can still utilize. So let's suppose I'm utilizing the same, this 0. You can simply use this number, use 0, 1, 2, 3. So here you can simply type use 0. So it has loaded this. By default, it is using one payload. Payload is basically the code which will give damage after the exploitation. Right. So by default, it is using a payload, which is meterpreter reverse TCP. Meterpreter is like a command line. Right. Here I need to set on which system you want to do the attack. On that you are going to use a command set rhost. So my IP is 56.101. This is the remote host IP on which I'm actually targeting. After the attack, I want reverse connectivity on my local system. And what is my IP? My IP is 56.102. So here I need to set my local host IP. Right. Then after the attack, I want to inject my malicious payload might be in explorer.exe. Explorer by default running in the Windows. Right. Set process inject explorer.exe. Just a minute. It's giving some error. Okay, process our port. So, okay, just for your information, so options will provide you information. The value which you are setting is basically getting fed here or not. So yes, if you can see lhost is done, set, rhost is also set. Because I'm targeting Windows SMB based vulnerability, see it has taken 445. This is the port. Now I need to set a payload, which is set payload command. So payload I'm using is Windows 64-bit machine I have there. Meterpreter is basically a command line tool which will help you to do multiple activity for the damage. And I want reverse connection using TCP. So reverse underscore TCP. So TCP is going to provide reliable connectivity after the attack. So now if I run the command exploit is basically now trigger that code. So it will first check whether that system is vulnerable or not. So it is saying yes, host is likely vulnerable for MS17010. Now this is basically the code given there for this vulnerability. This is called CV, common vulnerability and exploit. Now we will discuss about the CVSS score and how exactly they are going to rank your vulnerability. But the good thing is after this exploitation, I successfully got a meterpreter session here, right? How can I see whether I'm actually connected with the remote machine? So you can simply run a command sysinfo and you can see it is saying that yes, you are connected with WinVictim. You can also verify from the Windows by running a command netstat space -a. Now netstat is going to provide you the active connection on your system. So if you see one of the active connection is from this PC is there. Establish 56.102 is connected using the TCP. Definitely now we can do lot many things. So first thing you want to check what is the privilege I have over the remote machine. So get UID command if you run, you will see that you are having the system level access. It means you are having the admin privilege, and because you have the admin privilege, you can do anything. So if I run here #dump, I can dump the hashes of the password of the remote machine. So this is the hash and you can crack it later on. But because I'm having admin privilege, I can do anything. I can simply run a command shell and I can have the Windows command prompt, which is having admin privilege. So if you want to create a new user, let's suppose I want to check how many users are there. I can simply run a command net user. So I have administrator guest Tom. I want to delete this Tom. I can simply run net user space Tom /del and it will delete the Tom. You see now it is successfully deleted. So now if you see here, do Tom is there? No, it is deleted. Again, as I told that you can do lot many activity. So this is a very simple example of how do we do a exploitation in our local environment. So what we will do, we will first set up one box which is vulnerable. And now with the help of Kali Linux, now why Kali? Because Kali is having all the tools available. Now there is a possibility that you don't have the access of the Kali. In such case, what we'll do? We are simply going to use Ubuntu machine or any Debian machine. We will download whatever we require, compile it and use it. So it's just that is also we will see there. So if you are not using Kali, how can we do the exploitation using a simple Linux based machine there? But this is how exactly the things will go. I hope you all got the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Gautam here. So actually, I've not used Metasploit before. Could you just tell me like what is that lhost, rhost, and what exactly are you setting there? Just to get an idea there.
Yes. I will actually explain everything. It's just an example I had given there, how exactly we'll proceed. But now for your information, so if I show options here, see rhost is basically the one of the parameter Metasploit is using to set the remote host on which you are going to do the attack. Right. So if I'm running a command set rhost, here I'm actually saying who is my target. So here you can define the IP of the rhost remote machine. Now lhost, see when you do the attack, you want connectivity back on your machine. So you are connected to the remote machine and you can do some activity. So lhost is defining that if the attack is successful on the remote machine, where I'm expecting the connection back from that machine. So lhost is basically the IP of your own system. Let's suppose my IP is 222. So IP of my Kali machine I'm talking about. Just to give an example here. But again, it depends on the vulnerability. You might have to set multiple parameter here. This is one of the simple vulnerability as exploited in front of you. But depends on the vulnerability, you may have to set multiple parameters. Not only this much, if you run a command show advanced, you will get lot many parameter which you can set, like session expiry time, reverse listener, payload UID value. So a lot many different things you will get there. These parameter will help you to interact with the attack very easily. Again, that as I told that multiple parameters are there. So slowly you will know about all these parameters. But this is what about the L host and R host is.
So in this, if I have to give an example, the remote host would be the Windows machine, and once you use that host, you'll be getting back to the Linux shell, right?
Correct. You will get back access of the Linux shell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is good. Thank you.
Great.
Rajiv, I have one question.
Yeah.
Like say we have scanned this with Nmap, right? So we got to know that okay, port 21 is open, port 45. Now you have searched in a MSF console that what are eternal blue vulnerability. But like let's say if I do not have any idea, okay, on port 445 what exploit I can use. So I have to use is there any
Vulnerability scanner.
way? Yes, where I can see.
Yes, Nmap. See, I had just shown you one uses of Nmap, and that is port scanning. But Nmap is also having the scripting engines, which will help you to conduct the scan over the ports to check whether it is vulnerable using the public database available. But yes, if you want to check whether this is actually a vulnerability or not, just go to Google and search for CVE details. That is called common vulnerability and exploit database. Right here, you just search eternal blue. Right, you see, this is one of the vulnerability. So it's actually giving you details about this vulnerability.
Yes. This I know. The thing I was asking is like you said in Nmap itself we can check. So that's what like I was like I want to know. Understood actually.
Okay, great. Any more question, guys?
Will we be having a practice for Metasploit later on, Rajiv?
Yes, definitely. Just a initial glimpse like how exactly we will be working on, right?
Okay.
I'm having one more question in my mind. This is for the operating system, right? So let's say if it
Correct.
is, if I want to do it for any application, how you do it?
Similar way. I'm going to show you. I will install one vulnerable application in front of you, right? And then
Okay.
after we'll show you how can we scan the vulnerability over the same and then exploit it. There are multiple applications which is vulnerable on the internet. So we'll see how exactly we can exploit even that one too.
Okay.
Okay. Any more question, guys? Anything which is confusing? Okay. I think there is no any question. So this is what we have. I mean, for this particular first session.